over the weekend, for those of you who have not heard, Kenny Pickett's car and Playbook were stolen during a radio interview at I don't know the car dealership, but it was outside of a car dealership. Somebody left their car at the car dealership, took Kenny Pickett's. Later that night, there was an incident at that person's house. The police showed up, and I would imagine one of the cops said, "Isn't that Kenny Pickett's car?" And there you go. Car was recovered. Playbook was recovered. I mean, there's a lot to dive into on this one, I feel like. First off, who's stealing cars from a car dealer? Like, did they just expect that somebody be like, oh, I like this one here, and they just be like, oh, that one's, it's not coming up in the system. I don't know what's
Right.
going on. Why is this not?
They keep track of those things. Like
Yeah.
people at car dealerships keep track
Yeah. Did they
of their
know it
cars.
was
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett's car, or did they just want a nice Genesis? Like, so many questions. So many questions. Also, the
Yeah, what
guy's
kind
name was Christopher Carter. For those of you who don't follow Locked On Steelers podcast, the host of that show is named Christopher Carter. Different guy, still hilarious. I'm sure he got 100 text messages over the weekend about the situation.
Yeah, and Chris was out of town, I think. I think he was in Atlanta or something over the weekend. So
Yeah.
like I'm sure
Yeah.
he was that's a pretty good alibi for him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The 17 pictures of phenomenal food that he's posted over the last 48 hours shows that he clearly wasn't stealing Genesises out of Chevrolet parking lots. But I mean, like, I don't know where to dive into it. I want to ask this, because this is my mom and my fiance don't obviously follow football like we do. My first thing was somebody on the Steelers definitely made a phone call to some police station somewhere and said, look, I don't care what you got to do. You
Right.
go through that man's phone. Every picture that you find, you delete it. You check all the apps to see if there's a hidden picture thing somewhere. You delete those too. I want it all gone, because that Playbook is a billion times more valuable than some car that Kenny Pickett could buy any day of the week if he wanted to.
Right. I was gonna say I think that was my first question too, was when if you're the Steelers, do you have to change things in your playbook, change calls, change not I guess not change plays, you can't really do that, but like change your calls or adjust somehow? Because like they've got to be sweating a little bit thinking that there could be,
Oh, yeah.
you know, there could be stuff getting out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I'm sure it like breaks some laws. Somebody in the comments will let us know, like, if that's allowed. I doubt it is.
Mhm.
But I mean, for the city of Pittsburgh, you got to be a hero at some point and say, I'm going to take that risk, and I'm going through this man's phone and I'm finding all the evidence that I could find and deleting it. But at the same time, like, did the guy even know? Like, I think that's
Right.
my biggest question here is, did he know it was Kenny Pickett's car? Did he know that the Playbook was in the car? Like, did Kenny just like have it sitting on the front seat? These guys, for those of you who don't know, Pittsburgh Steelers practice, like, they put up giant tarps on the side of the field so that you can't see in from the outside of practice. The security levels are insane. I mean, I said I put out something about individual drills that I had videos of, and I got a phone call from their PR department immediately and was like, hey, you are not allowed. Like, I get that it's in your video. You could post the video. You can't say what's in the video. That's how strict they are on keeping their things a secret, which I 100% get. It's the NFL. You got to do what you got to do. But if I highly doubt that the quarterbacks just got it like sitting there on the front seat. So did he even know it was there? Was it discovered? I don't know. What do you think a Playbook would go for? Where you called the Baltimore Ravens and you said, hey, look, I have Kenny Pickett's Playbook. Make me an offer. What do you think it's going for?
Well, it's got to be because you're going to get a fine that you're going to get an ensuing fine from the NFL for buying
Oh,
someone's
yeah, it's
playbook
coming
off of
out.
you.
At some point, you're
So it's
losing a
like,
Super Bowl ring, the whole nine.
yeah, but like, I don't know, but I guess it's for 2 games a year, I guess, but it's against a big rival. It it'd probably be north of 10 million, right? Like it'd be 8
Oh, yeah.
figures.
Yeah. Oh, it'd
You think
definitely
more than
be eight
that?
figures. No. I agree. I think it's right about that number. Like, it's a definitely above. My first thought was $1 million, because like the average Joe, especially a guy who just stole a car, like he clearly is not like, yeah, give me $100 million. He'd be like,
Yeah,
$1 million. Okay. Very cool. Very
yeah,
cool.
I could do a lot with a
But yeah,
million bucks.
easily. Yeah, it's easily an 8-figure deal, or 7 minimum.
Mhm.
Like, you're making a lot of money, because those two games, I mean, first off, a game against the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, you're smoking $1 million in revenue that day. There's no,
Yeah.
no question. That stadium's filled to the max. The jersey sales that week are insane. The everything, the TV deals, the advertisements, the spot, the whole nine for a rival game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're making $1 million. So to beat them on top of that, well worth $1 million. Do you think it'd be like, because the Steelers are a good one, obviously? Like, you want to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, team on the rise, team that always gives you a hard time. Somebody calls you with the Cincinnati Bengals playbook. What you giving up for the Cincinnati Bengals playbook? That's a Super Bowl contender right there.
Right. So you think like the better the team, the more valuable their playbook is? Like you got to
Yeah,
pay more
yeah,
for it.
yeah. Because at that
But
point,
also,
like, you probably got to play them 3 times to make it to the Super Bowl.
yeah, that's true. But I mean, also like, do you think every team has film, right? Like you've seen. I also feel like there's an element
True,
of you've seen these teams enough, and you can get film pretty easily. I feel like if you're an NFL
true.
team, like it's not. I don't know. Maybe you might not be able to know every call, but you could at least see formations and plays just by you know
Yeah,
watching the game. I guess.
that's true. I would love to go in there tomorrow and ask, be like, "Hey, Cam, is it
I'll
valuable
say,
or is it just, are we
yeah,
all making a big deal?" He'd probably be like, "Nah, it's no big deal at all." I'm like, "Nah, it's definitely big." Like Kenny said a number of times, he's like, it takes like 3 to 4 hours to install one play. Could you imagine like
yeah,
having every single one, like like a Kyle Shanahan playbook? That's worth
yeah,
ungodly amounts of money. Ungod like
right,
that's ridiculous. Because those plays, I mean, Debo Samuels has come out and said so many times that he's like, we have like books and books of plays that we have not released yet, that we've never even run, that we know. Like
yeah.
that, I could see that one being worth a lot of money. Do you think it'd be worth, so if he held on to it, somehow got away with this, whatever, whole nine, you're talking AFC championship game, Pittsburgh versus Buffalo. You give Brandon Bean a call. Hey, buddy, I got Pittsburgh's playbook. You want it? Worth more money then or now?
Oh, it would definitely be worth. Oh,
No, I agree
yeah,
with
for a
you.
team.
Now
I I
or
mm,
then.
I think it would be worth more, like, in the moment.
Hmm.
'Cause I also think you call Billy Bean or, yeah, Billy no, not
Brandon Bean.
Brandon Bean. Sorry. Brandon Bean, week before the AFC Championship game, he's gonna be sweating that game out, He's nervous, it's a big game, it's a playoff game. I think you could drive up that price a little bit just by holding on to it for a little bit longer and waiting
Yeah,
until January.
yeah. So Chris Carter, obviously not the. I mean, I don't know him, but probably not the greatest guy. Made a huge mistake, and then made another one, which I think is worse. The mistake. I'm not going to bring that part up, but the way worse than stealing a car. And but in the long run, he should have ditched the car, snagged the playbook, held on to that thing as long as possible, stayed under the radar, went and got his car back, and kept moving because you play the long game on that one, which I don't think car thieves are thinking long game. But if you think the long
Yeah.
game, worth so much more money.